Ripple XRP technical analysis, and we're on the monthly chart. On the monthly chart of this particular cryptocurrency, we can see that we have two opposing structures. Number one, we have this overextended M structure over here, which has a neckline at that point more or less. And number two, we also have this W structure, which also has a neckline more or less in that area. So what this means is that buying or selling at this point in time is a bit risky, and that is because the market may go in either direction, right? We have the M structure, as I said, as well as the W structure, and they both have necklines in more or less the same areas, right? And as I said, guys, buying or selling at this point is risky, and that is because what may possibly happen is that price from where it is may move down to the neckline of this W structure and potentially push up, or what may possibly also happen is that we might see price actually from where it is, which is over here, move up to around this neckline of this M structure, only to push further down. So in my humble opinion, buying or selling at the zone is very risky. Nonetheless, having said that, let's head down to the lower time frames to see if we can possibly get around this predicament. To add to that, before we head down to the lower time frames, I just want to mention also that as much as we have this W structure over here, just note that a lot of traders and investors usually buy on that second leg of that W structure, and they place their stop losses just below. So there's a lot of money stuck in and around this area, and what may possibly also happen is that we might potentially see price from where it is push further down to grab all of those stop losses and then only push up from there. So we just need to be careful in as far as XRP USD goes, right? Anyway, from here I'm going to head down to the lower time frames, or rather the weekly chart, and here we are on the weekly chart. And just to recap a bit, remember on the monthly chart we spoke about how we have this overextended M structure which has a neckline at that point, and we also spoke about how we have this W structure which also has a neckline more or less at the same level. Can you guys see that? So what I'm going to do now, guys, is just to add my necklines for those two structures. Just bear with me while I do so. So we could say that more or less this level over here is the neckline of this overextended M structure, which is, as I said, over here, right? And similarly, I'm going to add a neckline for our W structure as well. And there goes the neckline of our W structure. Remember, guys, I said that buying or selling at this point is a bit risky, right? But for now, let's just focus a bit on the W structure over here. Right, you guys know that whenever it comes to these structures, ideally we want to see price breaking to the upside of this neckline and then coming back to the neckline to test it. And generally speaking, at the neckline is where we normally look for those potential buying opportunities. Just note that at this point in time, the neckline, which is over here of this W structure, is yet to be broken to the upside, right? And what this means, in other words, guys, is that if you look at where the neckline is, it's actually also a very strong level of resistance. And what may possibly also happen at this point is that we may see price or the market actually push further down to around this area over here. And remember also, I said that because we have this W structure, a lot of traders and investors bought on the second leg of the W structure, and they placed their stop losses just below at the zone over here. So it makes sense actually for the market to push further down to grab all of those stop losses, and then from there potentially move further up. And if that happens, the market would give us this very nice huge W structure. I hope you guys can see that. Right? Anyway, from here, guys, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart, but just bear in mind, as I said, that we have a lot of money stuck here in the form of stop losses, and that at this point in time the market is yet to close above the neckline of this W structure, which is also a very strong level of resistance, and we might potentially see the market push further down, right? Anyway, let's head down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart. Let's have a look. What do we see on the daily chart? That we should be paying attention to? On this particular chart, I don't see much really. But what I'm gonna do now, guys, is just to add my daily channel. Let's see, how would I add my daily channel? Let's have a look. For now, I would add my daily channel in this manner. Just bear with me. And just remember that we just need to ensure that the drawings that we do add to our charts are as accurate as possible, just to ensure that ultimately when we do execute, our execution is also as close to perfection as possible, right? So there we go. More or less, we could say that we have our daily channel in this manner, and we can see that in as far as the market goes, as much as it appears as if the market is in an upward trending market at this point over here, right? In my humble opinion, we're actually still in a downward trending market, in my humble opinion, right? I think once price closes above this area over here and above this trend line, then we could say that the market is in an upward trending market, in my humble opinion, right? Anyway, from here, what I'm going to do is just zoom in and let's have a look, guys. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Remember, on the bigger time frames, we spoke about how we have this huge W structure which has a neckline at that point, and we said that price at this point in time is at a very strong level of resistance, and we might potentially see the market push further down. To add to that, remember also that we spoke about how we have this huge M structure which has a neckline at that point, right? And similarly, right, remember when it comes to M structures, we want to see price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline and then coming back to the neckline to test it, and at that point is where we normally look for those potential selling opportunities. So we have this M structure over here, right? Let me just actually draw it properly. Let's see. So we have this huge M structure over here which has a neckline at that point. We saw price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline, heading back to the neckline to test it, and then pushing further down, right? And then in the future again, we saw price coming back to just retest that neckline which is over here. And just note that that neckline is also a very strong level of resistance, and at this point over here, in my humble opinion, we should be looking for those potential selling opportunities, especially because as much as we have this W structure over here, just note that the market hasn't really closed sufficiently above that. It hasn't closed sufficiently above that structure over there, right? I hope what I've said makes sense. Anyway, let's proceed. Anyway, I'm just gonna zoom in from here and let's see what else do we see, guys. What else do we see on the chart that we should be paying attention to? From here, what I'm going to do is head down to the H4 chart actually,